Hello and welcome to Comics and Cleats on the Minnesota Comic Exchange. I'm Kyle. I'm going to bring in our four guests today. Our Commissioner Jordan, Coach Chris, John,
Hey.
and then Jedi Collects John. All right, so this week was interesting, to say the least. Was everything that happened?
It was terrible. There was a lot of really bad quarterback play. Ain't nothing but to say it. A lot of week one jitters, lots of really surprisingly bad playing of the quarterback position.
Well, talking about the quarterback, we should just dive into the biggest news of the week. And that's Aaron Rodgers is out for the season.
Yep, MVP. He's gone.
Four plays, and he goes down.
Yeah.
The MVP that never happened, right, Johnny?
I'm pretty mad because he would have got the MVP. It's revenge season. Always root for revenge seasons. So.
Well,
I love revenge seasons. Those are good ones.
So, Johnny, I have to ask you, how's this going to impact your team? Because we know you started Aaron Rodgers last week.
It's not going to impact my team at all. I'm going to start Jordan Love. He's looking like he's going to be the third, fourth, almost straight Hall of Fame quarterback they're going to have there. That's probably going to bring in another Super Bowl for Green Bay.
One game. That was the Bears. That was
one game, and he crushed it. And he continued the ownership leasing of the Chicago Bears. That's all that matters.
Well, here's the thing. I have to agree and disagree because
that lease got renewed there, guys.
In our Yahoo League, I had Aaron Rodgers that went down too, and I had to put in Jordan Love. So I had to do that too, but I don't think he's going to be. It's too early. It's week one. Overreactions happen all the time in week one. Do we think the Vikings are going to continue to suck like they did?
Yeah.
So, if that's the case, don't you think Cincinnati's going to suck too, only putting up 3 points?
Yeah.
So,
I just don't think that the Vikings are going to be running the ball very successfully with Madison. I think that's going to be.
This is why they play the games.
It's week one, and
the commissioner has ruled on
it. we need a big sign that says commissioner any name now. So let me ask, what do you think the outlook is for the Jets now?
Oh, it's definitely not good. The Jets are gonna stink.
Who they have? Wilson?
Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Are they
gonna stick with him, you think?
I don't think you can bring in another player that's the problem if you bring in another player is they're gonna take time to learn what the scheme is, what the play calling is, signal calling and all that, and you're going to waste probably 2-3 weeks trying to figure that out.
Tom Brady, Matt Ryan.
I don't even like Tom Brady.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do that.
What about from a fantasy perspective? Do you think this is going to impact Garrett Wilson?
Well, he's going to start, so he's going to get points. So, already he's going to be better.
We did that touchdown catch he had to create himself.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
6 points.
So let's go through the previous week. Then let's go to last week's games. Let's start off with. Give me 1 second. I'm looking at the wrong stuff right now. Chris, you destroyed Johnny.
It's true.
Obliterated Johnny.
I knew it from the second that I was matched up with Johnny after the draft. It was going to be a week one victory.
I can humbly admit it was probably the most epic beatdown I've ever had in fantasy. It was embarrassing top to bottom. If I was a GM, I'd cut every single one of my players, bring in rookies, practice guys, randos off the street. It was embarrassing.
The thing is, though, my team didn't even perform very well.
Yeah, I know. That's what That's what's sad. That's true.
I mean, yeah, you had Mahomes that kind of underperformed a little bit. I think what hurts you the most, Johnny, is that Rodgers went down.
Well, and then I also Andrews
too
was a game time decision on whether he was going to play, and I was at church, so I didn't see the alert come through until the game had actually started, so I couldn't make that switch. And then
Priority is.
Well, there was
Najee Harris also was just. I mean, he's just sucked.
That's why
Lockett only got 3 points too.
Well, and yeah, talking about Lockett, we were talking about this. Like, is this something that you're going to see every week? You're going to have one receiver outperform the other on the Seahawks?
I mean, not really. I mean, when you go back to last season, I mean, you had a couple games where one really outshined the other, but overall, they usually were both. Because I've had in at least one fantasy draft since they've both been teammates together. I've had them both, and it's the Rams. I mean, the thing about it is it's a rivalry game, and that defensive coordinator, he's always had our number. And I like Geno, but he's not Russell Wilson. He's just, he doesn't have, the escapability, the longevity to extend plays. So I expect a bounce back pretty fast, and they'll get going.
All right, well, now let's head out, since Jordan's here for the first time. Let's look at your team and what you did to Austin. How do you feel about your week 1 performance?
Well, I got to admit, it's more what the Dallas Cowboys defense did to Austin than what I did to Austin. But I will gladly take it.
Take credit.
McCaffrey went off for you, though, too.
I mean, he did his job. My feelings were a little hurt when the ball kept going to Tyreek instead of Jalen Waddle. I'll be honest, but Dallas Cowboys defense made everything better.
Hey, trust me, I felt that Tyreek Hill. All right, I felt that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really impressive that, you were able to weather that. I mean, you look at the points overall. I mean, there's some kind of low points on both teams, but it just came down to those two, the defense versus, Tyreek Hill, and did you have enough to kind of weather the rest of the storm, and it kind of came through. It was really good overall.
I'll be honest, it's nice to not have Justin Fields as my quarterback.
So we got this YouTuber who just commented, would you trade St. Brown for Josh Jacobs or Nick Chubb for PPR redraft?
I have Nick Chubb. I wouldn't, only because Nick Chubb is super consistent, and you know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get exactly what you're going to get from him every single week. If it was Josh Jacobs, yeah, I'd take that.
Well, wait a second. Is it or is it? Are we talking about 2 for 1 here? Or?
Yep. I mean, I like Amon St. Brown. I think the dude.
I do too. I wouldn't trade him.
Nope.
Well,
I'd keep him.
Yeah, I'd keep him. I agree that Nick Chubb is consistent, but in a PPR league, St. Brown's seeing that ball.
At the same time, when you're doing a PPR league, he still has to get the catches, and he still has to get those catches to be consistent. You get 2-3 drop passes, that's not just 2-3 points. It's also the yards that you get for the points. And suddenly you've got you can go from having a 12-point game to a 20-point game with just a couple of drop passes. So, but 1 for 1, I would stick with Nick Chubb. If it was both, if you got Nick Chubb and Josh Jacobs, I'd consider that, depending on what you already have for running backs. If you've got both your starters somehow were injured or something, I'd probably make that trade. If both
yeah, unless it's a 6-team league, you got to do it for both.
Talking about running backs, though, I'm still on Jordan's team here. You lost J.K. Dobbins for the year.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your move going to be with that?
Well, got some running backs.
I see you have Kenneth Gainwell, who is injured too right now.
He is. But got the other Kenneth Walker, moved on into my starting lineup. And honestly, looking at my matchup for this week, I picked up the guy off the waiver wire I think is going to score me the most points. But
And
I always want to draft at least one or two extra running backs because, and even looking back at that trade question, while wide receivers can be a little bit more inconsistent in terms of catches and can be up and down in production, running backs are not the most consistent in health. So it's already a game of attrition going in, and I made sure I had a few on the back burner to be prepared for some injuries from the running back perspective.
All right, so now we're going on to John Palm's team.
Silence your phones.
So, dude, that's my computer doing that.
You.
John, you had a very decisive win here.
Yeah, Diggs helped me out tremendously. Not gonna lie.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I honestly thought that Maurice had you too. If Josh Allen would have actually performed,
Yep.
looking at his team, I'm like, Maurice could get you, but
It could have went either way.
yeah,
But
and your bench scares the hell out of me, though. I'm not gonna lie.
well, I already dropped Jones.
I mean, how many points did Jamar Chase have last week?
9.1.
Yeah, so that's another factor. I mean, if Josh Burrow had performed better, not only that, that's a prime example of the kind of inconsistency that you can get sometimes. Because normally it's Jamar Chase. I mean, he's going to get 14 points, 15, 16, 17. But every once in a while you're going to get. I mean, even with him, he's a really consistent guy. But even with him, you're going to get once in a while you're going to get burned.
That's a good point. Wide receiver production is kind of predicated on quarterback production versus a running back, and kind of do it on their own.
And my other thing about when I say I like to draft running backs early, part of it also comes from the fact that there's only a handful of top level running backs in this era right now. Like there's a clear top 10. And then it really starts to drop off. So it's really, I feel like, important to, if you get one of those, if you can get it, because there's not many that are in like that top 10. I think there's a big drop off once you get around that 10 to 15 mark.
So before I dive into the game I had with Dustin, I gotta share something. This is a spoiler. Now, last week, I predicted that I was going to win. And I lost.
Who had the first pick, Kyle? Remind me.
That would be me.
Have that.
That would be me.
Mm-hmm.
And Nora. And I'm going to show you what happened this week.
Ooh, I'm seeing a lot of parallels to that graphic that was just on the screen.
Yeah. But it was all because of Tua. I mean, Tua pulled up 38 points for Dustin.
Hey, he's still currently not concussed.
Yeah, and I'm looking at his team. Outside
Calvin Ridley's going to be so good down there in Jacksonville.
Bijan looked good. Travis Etienne's going to be productive, I think. Garrett Wilson, if Zach Wilson throws in the ball and actually properly, I think Garrett Wilson's going to have a great season too. So
I think that now that Jacksonville's got consistently good receivers with Zay Jones and with Calvin Ridley, their running game's going to be open. Because, I mean, last couple seasons, Etnu was kind of maybe a fringe starter, flex kind of guy. But, I mean, he's going to be a really solid, reliable player because
Who's
they're
the
going
quarterback?
Trevor
to be able
Lawrence.
to open up the field a lot, I think.
How did he do his week one?
Trevor Lawrence, he did all right.
Mr. Sunshine, yeah, he had I think 24 or something like that. Pretty standard fare.
Seeing who has Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, Jordan, you have Trevor Lawrence.
He was serviceable. He did his
I mean,
job.
His projection was right next to how much he actually scored too. So
Yeah, 21. Yeah.
I just
But
shared
yeah,
this on the group just so you guys know as well.
what was that?
Shared this on the group as well.
I was going to ask you too when I seen the message earlier. No, I'm not going to do anything to change my team. I think I have a pretty solid team right now. Chris, you made a comment last week that you think I have a great team.
Well, now it's a 5th place.
Yeah, it dropped
Made the
one.
team.
Yeah. Well,
The only thing I'd be again hesitant with is your second running back there. I don't know how consistent he's going to be with how many snaps he's going to get because they like to run the ball so much with Fields. Is he going to get enough snaps where he's going to be worth starting on your roster versus somebody else that you can pick up on the waiver or get through a trade?
well, I mean, I think we're going to get to the waiver wire here too. I did pick up a running back. So
Who'd you pick up?
Zach Moss.
Yeah, I dropped him because I was like, I need a few other people. I think he's going to do well.
He plays football.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to introduce a new segment to the show. Week 2, and we have new segments going on.
Segments.
This is called the boiled chicken of the week.
Ooh.
All right. Yeah.
I'm gonna go around the table here. I know this is deviating, but who was your worst player of the week last week? I'm gonna go with Johnny.
With me?
Yeah.
I think my worst player last week was it's got to be Najee Harris, or maybe just could say the entire Pittsburgh Steelers offense not being able to open up anything at all, do anything. It was pretty embarrassing. I mean, you can't have one of your starting running backs, especially a versatile one that's supposed to be pretty good in a PPR league because he's supposed to get 4 or 5 targets a game, if not more. But it was pretty embarrassing. So that's probably my boiled chicken would be Najee Harris. I'm not going to put it on Aaron. I mean, you can't. I'm going to blame a guy for breaking his leg or whatever. Come on.
Snapped Achilles, I think.
Well, I mean, it's part of the leg, whatever.
Well, hey, you had Tyler Lockett that got you 3 points, though.
Yeah, only 3 points.
That, again, they're playing the Rams. The Rams defense. That's one of the toughest matchups probably in the NFL for the Seahawks. They're always super good. Week 1 jitters. I think we'll come back probably the next time we play him, and we'll probably win, but it'll be tough. It's always a tough matchup. I'm not going to – and he also got injured. He had a concussion mid-game. They took him out, so I'm not going to put anything on him. So he was also injured.
We have to see what Jericho just said. He said Joe Burrow.
I see a nomination.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Burrow, yeah.
I mean, Jericho has Joe Burrow and got a 3.18.
Yeah, he sucked.
I mean,
that's what you get for stealing my Joe Burrow, Jericho.
I think John Palm, I think your boiled chicken of the week scored more points.
Yeah.
But
which league is it? Yahoo? Because that was Jones in Yahoo.
Sucks more than boiled chicken.
Yeah.
Hey, remember it's safe.
Yeah, it's safe to eat boiled chicken.
Okay, John, who's your boiled chicken of the week?
In ESPN, it would have been Rashad White because he only got me maybe 6 points running back. And that was against the Vikings D, which I thought he would have done more against. But
the Vikings defense looked good though too.
I
But
thought you had at least gotten a score against them, but I was way off on that. And then obviously in the Yahoo League, it was Johnny's boy, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, that's not my guy.
well,
Daniel Jones, man.
Danny
I told you
Dimes,
never
man.
even. I told you never even to even have him on your team. Yeah. Yeah, I had the worst. I had the worst. Yep, that's my award for worst outing.
what about Kadarius Toney though? I know you
I
didn't start him.
put him on the bench. I didn't. That would have changed if I actually had him in, but I put him back on the bench. Thankfully,
Yeah,
because that would have been brutal.
All right,
yeah.
Jordan.
Who's
We
the
know
good
that
dishes?
we know you kicked ass this week, but do you have a boiled chicken?
I'm gonna say my whole Yahoo team was the boiled chicken. I lost to the guy that forgot to show up at the draft.
Jordan, who do you have in the Yahoo League?
Well, let's see. I've got
Ooh.
Tua riding my bench last week,
Oh,
and Lamar Jackson got started, so that's just a no math genius, but negative about 41 points on that swing right there.
oh no.
Johnny's
you
guy,
all in the
Najee
Yahoo
Harris.
League?
Jordan, John, and I. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's.
I would say, I haven't really liked Lamar in the last year or so as fantasy. I would stick with Tua moving forward. That'd be my call. I think as long as he's healthy, they're
let
going
him
to
get through his team.
Yeah.
What that sounds like is you're just rubbing it in. But thank you for your input. Yeah, I'm gonna go with my whole Yahoo team for the boiled chicken award of the week for the nomination for me. Thought about Christian Kirk and his 1.9 points, but he was very well supported by the rest of my team, and they were able to erase his mistakes pretty well.
So, talking about Christian Kirk, I got offered a trade in our Yahoo League. Kirk Cousins and Christian Kirk for Stephon Diggs because Aaron Rodgers went down.
Sorry, what's the trade offer?
Kirk Cousins and Christian Kirk for Stephon Diggs. I have Stephon Diggs.
Who's your quarterback?
It was Rodgers, but got Jordan Love now.
And what other receivers do you have? Like who would fill in off of your roster bench for Stephon Diggs if you traded?
Mike Evans, Jordan Addison.
That's a terrible trade.
I have Calvin Ridley as my wide receiver 2.
That's a terrible trade. You don't take that trade.
I didn't take it.
Kirk Cousins isn't gonna be like if he was offering like Patrick Mahomes or something good.
Jericho's not impressed.
Chris,
Jericho deserves to suffer, man. He stole my quarterback. I still would take. I even after that performance, I wish I had Joe Burrow right now.
I took both my quarterbacks to spite people.
All right, well,
and Nora.
you know what though? I'm happy with the team I have though. So.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle's got probably one of the best quarterbacks in the draft right now.
So, Chris, who's your boiled chicken? I know you won by 60 points. I mean, it doesn't have to be on your team either.
It has to be on his team. It's his boiled chicken.
Devontae Adams.
Was 12.6 points?
Oh yeah, he was projected like 20.5. Either that or Cook, the running back out of Buffalo.
Dang. That whole game was strange though. The whole Buffalo New York game. After
can't blame Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
My whole team underscored.
You see,
I think Dalvin Cook. I don't know how much production they're actually going to get out of him, though.
I don't have Dalvin Cook. I got James Cook.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about Buffalo game.
I did drop some people, though.
You said your whole team underperformed.
Yeah.
Yet you still won by 60.
So. It's because my team underperformed. Like
I listened to a lot of podcasts in my own head.
in your own head.
I'm just kidding.
And I'm looking at my team right now, and honestly, the person that scored way under projections was Jalen Hurts. But I also don't think that he's a boiled chicken. So if I had to pick the boiled chicken of this week, I think it would have to be Joe Burrow. I know he came back from injury; he's hurt, but that performance against Cleveland was not good.
Agreed. I wish I had him on my team though.
I'm saying trade me a running back right now.
Me.
Joey B.
So
Love Joey B.
in the comment section, either on the Facebook group, Facebook page, Jericho already commented, and on Noggin's YouTube, who was your boiled chicken of the week? All right, now on to this week. But before we go into talking about our previews for this week, the majority of us here are actually going to be busy on Sunday. So we may not be able to watch football. Anyone want to talk about why we're going to be busy on Sunday?
Uncanny experience.
Uncanny experience. If some of you guys aren't watching this, Uncanny Experience is a X-Men immersive event happening at the Minneapolis Club. Chandler and all the people who are running the show are great people. It's happening Saturday and Sunday. And for those who are attending, what are you looking forward to the most? Let's go with John first.
Which one?
You.
Me?
John,
Yeah, I'm not
I'm just excited to be going.
Hey, let's just talk
I
about.
gotta thank Jordan for giving me his +1 ticket. So
Usually, I'm always talking about Jordan colluding, but I ran that live. I even forgot to put Jordan's last name in, and it's just like Jordan. I was like,
It is literally a randomizer. What can I say? So happy to be able to gift that to you, John, and happy to have you come along.
hell yeah, man. I appreciate it. It was funny because I was messaging Kyle earlier in the week. I'm like, man, I don't think I'll be able to go.
You were so bummed.
I know he's like, just put your name into the drawing. I'm like, all right, cool. And so I did it. And then I'm sitting at work, and all of a sudden my phone started dinging, and I look, and Chris was like, you need to talk to Jordan. I'm like, what? Why? And then Jordan's like, hey, I got an extra ticket. You want to go? I'm like, fuck yeah, I do want to go.
Well, it was an opportunity for me to pay it forward from Kyle being my sponsor at Minnesota Con. I mean, they even drove me home. I'm not going to
I will say
I rolled it back with some more tickets, though, and Jack Slaughter won. So
Great name, too.
That's a great name. Amazing.
I will say
I've seen Jericho's comment. That's not happening.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm excited because Johnny freaking Rico from Starship Troopers is going to be there.
Hell yeah!
And that's
Johnny
pretty
Rico.
dope. I love Johnny freaking Rico, man. That guy, one of the best indoor football, basketball players. I'm not really sure what sport that was at the first movie. They were doing somersaults there. It was pretty awesome, but it was pretty cool.
So I just want to share what Uncanny is right here. Give people more detail if you haven't seen it yet. Jordan, did you mention anything that you're looking forward to for the event?
I know it's called the Uncanny Experience. I'm looking forward to the experience itself the most. I know that the guys that are putting this on are very well-traveled from cons and different fun things out there. So I totally expect them to bring some of their favorite things from different cons nationally to us here locally. And I mean, can't go wrong with meeting Chris Claremont, getting some books signed, maybe getting some art from some other artists like Nathan Zerdy, Ali Garza. The voice actors are pretty cool. They're a little pricey for me, I'm afraid, for some of the folks, but I'm sure that they'll have plenty of an audience. I think where my money is going to be going is getting books signed by Chris Claremont and hopefully getting some art.
And Chris, you're doing something unusual for the show, right?
I'm working at the show.
Chris
You-
is the show.
You can be around that too. Look intimidating.
Yeah, I'll actually be up in that animated room.
Being animated.
Being animated. That's correct. Looking scary. No, not looking scary.
He's gonna just stand there like a boulder, unanimated.
No,
It's
sometimes
not-
people get excited and stuff gets crazy real fast. I gotta just be up there and make sure everything, like lines are in order, stuff's not getting out of control. Things like that. Should be fun.
All right, so I'm actually looking forward to the X-Men animated series stuff. I know you say you're doing the animated part, and that's what I'm actually looking forward to.
See you up there. You better behave in there, young man.
I'm not going to behave.
Bounce you right out.
I am
With
excited
permission from
about
my boss.
the panels they're gonna have and the
Deadpool musical.
yeah, just all the different things to do, all the different events. I'm sure that there's gonna be a lot of interesting things that people are gonna have to say, and I'll just be soaking it all in.
Yeah,
No,
it's a good time for you guys.
This is like you mentioned, Jordan. This is the first time we've had an immersive experience kind of like this in Minnesota. So it's going to be interesting to see how this, actually works out. I think it's going to go well.
So
But-
when they say immersive, are they gonna have like an actual like X room where you're gonna be like punching cyborgs or something?
They
There
have
was
a,
going to be a danger room,
yeah,
but
That's
not
what
this
it's called,
year.
danger room. That's right.
Not this year.
not
Well,
this
no,
year,
no, no.
but they are going to have like opportunity to work out with a cosplayer that's as Wolverine, music by Dazzler, stuff like that. So now that we got that out of the way, like I said, most of us gonna be busy on Sunday, but we also have to preview the upcoming matchups, right? So, give me 1 second.
My team's gonna. You might as well just lock it in. It's gonna win.
So,
Gonna win what?
I said so. I have faith. I have
So-
faith of the heart.
we have two people on this panel or table right now facing each other. Chris and John Palm.
Yeah, it looks
More
like
than a
I'm
feeling right now.
expected about
Not worried.
13-point underdog right now.
But were you not an underdog last week too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was I really? I thought we were even. I thought I was even last week.
I think you were a 3-point underdog.
Really?
Yeah,
Not 13 points though.
no, not 13 points. And honestly, I'm looking at the lineup. Rashad, like you said, Rashad White was your boiled chicken, and
I still might switch him out for KC's running back.
Pacheco.
Yep. I might.
That could go either way. It could go.
I know. Yeah,
I
it
picked
could
up
go
some
either
people
way.
this week. I can't believe you guys let the people that I picked up make it to the 12th waiver wire for
Tutu.
No,
Or
I
was
didn't
it?
pick him up, I don't think.
Oh no, you picked up Justin Hill or Justice Hill.
Justice Hill and did I pick up Tutu? Yeah, I picked up Tutu as well.
Oh.
Can't believe you guys let those guys drop to me.
Well, I could only
I-
pick so many players before
They
I
were
wanted
both
to-
big upgrades in my opinion. Like big. I mean, Adam Thielen's he'll be lucky if he's in the league in 2 years. Adam
he's
Thielen.
old.
So like
Yeah,
I mean
but he's a great receiver. He'll go down as a Vikings Ring of Honor kind of player.
yeah, but what does that mean really?
I
I
kinda-
thought about that the other day.
Okay, so I'm about to bring some family into this because my dad and I have this discussion all the time. My dad hates Joe Mauer. He thinks he's an overrated twin. That the only reason that he's loved is because he's local. Is that the same reason why we loved Adam Thielen?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think so.
Thielen's
Thielen's been a really good wide receiver.
The poor man's Julian Edelman.
Yeah, I mean, he came
No,
from
he's
the
better
practice.
than Julian Edelman. He just didn't have a quarterback as good as Tom Brady.
He was
Thielen
undrafted
better
too,
than Julian
compared to
Edelman.
Joe Mauer. Joe Mauer was the #1 pick, and Thielen had to work his ass off to get to where he needed to go.
Exactly.
2 years in the
So-
practice squad.
Yeah,
Let's put it this way. He probably in Minnesota Madden rating in his prime was like 5 more points than anywhere else, right? And that's true because the love, right?
Well, think about this.
Yeah,
In
except
fantasy,
he was actually Thielen was a really good receiver in Minnesota, though.
Yeah,
Well,
he
so
was. No one's saying he
When he was
wasn't.
paired
No,
with
yeah.
Jefferson and paired with Diggs, that duo was great.
A solid wide receiver too.
well, and
Yeah, but you need a solid wide receiver too to take off pressure from #1.
yeah.
You got to have it, and he did it great. He was a great route runner, great hands, solid wide receiver.
So
Ring
Back
of
to-
honor minimum.
back to this matchup, and John, I'm sorry to attack your team. This is more than a season, but we had to talk about Chelsea.
I like the name; it's clever. I like it.
But so everyone here, Chris and John, you can't vote. Who you got winning this game?
I'll let Jordan go first.
I think a lot's going to depend on Aaron Jones's health. He did kind of come up lame after a touchdown in the last game. But even with that, as long as Chris remembers to keep an eye on that lineup spot, and I'm sure crazier things have happened on busy days, or church days, that I think he'll be all right as long as he's got a serviceable running back in there. I'm going to
He
give
practiced by himself today on the sidelines. He did a full practice, just not contact. So there's hope.
Thursday.
Hey,
That's
you know what's
positive.
You know what's gonna happen? Chris and I will be standing there in the anime room looking at our phones, be like, okay, let's see fancy wise. So
I mean,
So-
for me, I think the two things that need
Oh,
to
go ahead,
happen-
Johnny.
Oh, sorry. Were you done, Jordan?
I am done now.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry. I didn't want to. Yeah. I think I think some of the X factors is, I love Russell Wilson, but they still have to figure out some chemistry over there. I know they're saying Judy's coming in possibly this week, and maybe we'll finally see things to click. But I would honestly be looking at a different quarterback to start there. Even then, I know it's an upgrade over Daniel Jones, but I think there's.
I dropped Jones.
No,
Yeah,
I know.
you
I'm just saying.
got-
I think there's still some maybe people out on the waiver wire that I'd go with over Wilson. The other aspect with Chris's team is James Cook. I think is one of those. I think is going to be kind of like a wide receiver. Is going to be inconsistent because that Buffalo team, they don't like to run the ball that often. They had to run the ball last week because Josh Allen was just trash. On a given night where Josh Allen's going to be well and he's going to throw it for 35 times, I don't know if you're going to get that level of production out of James Cook that you saw last week.
Well, he only scored like 10 points last week.
I don't think you're going to get 10 points this week out of him. That's what I'm saying. I think you're going to get like 5.5 because he's probably going to have like 8 snaps for like 50 yards and probably all he's going to do. That's my thought. It's just because not Daniel Jones. Allen's going to throw the ball like 35, 38, maybe 40 times this coming week, and they're not going to run. And then you also have to split it, not just him, but they also have Dalvin Cook but they also have other running backs there, and I just don't know what kind of production you're going to get out of them. So I think I think that's another thing to think about.
Looks like
So
we
we
have a
got-
breaking news question.
yeah,
And
so
I need
for
to
that
know. I need to know what the scoring format is.
Waddle and Montgomery. No, not 2 players for Josh Jacobs. That's stupid. What are we talking about?
Well, I mean,
I
there's a
think
lot
that's
that comes into it. It's you're going to trade those 2 guys. Who are you going to pick up? Do you need a running back? And I
And
think
then
Josh,
if you really need like a number one running
We're talking about Montgomery, the running back,
David from
right?
Detroit.
Was
Yeah.
it-
Yeah, he had a great
Detroit?
game.
No.
It seemed like they were going to him instead of the rookie. I mean, if you really need an upgrade at running back and have some access at wide receiver, I might consider it. But it seems like you're giving up a little bit of value, a little too much value for me. I mean, maybe you get a second player back that you can
Take a second player
utilize, and it's not just a garbage throw in. Maybe that
I mean,
makes
in
sense.
real life, if that was a trade offer, I'd want like another first round pick or something, because like
This isn't
What am I-
fantasy.
that's a terrible trade, no matter how you look at it. I'm sorry.
But back to the matchup. Jordan, did you say who you have?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Chris. I mean, I think at the end of the day, as long as Patrick Mahomes stays as Patrick Mahomes and everyone else, plays football and does their normal thing, really the gap in quarterback is probably too much for John to overcome.
It's close everywhere else.
John,
The gap's only there.
I think it's your running backs, man. I think that's what's handicapping you.
Yeah, I
You're-
think
I'd
so too.
stick with Rashad White, though. I really think, I mean, you look at historically, I think that's going to be a good running team. I think they're going to do, because they play Chicago next week, right?
Mhm. They have
He's going to run over that team. He's going to have a big game, I think, next week. I don't have that Chicago team. That defense is going to be tired because the offense isn't going to convert, and that's just going to make it easier for them to run the ball against. And I think Shad's going to have a good game.
Cal, what do you think?
like I was, unfortunately, John, with your running backs, I think I gotta go with Chris here.
Ultimately, I'm going to go for more than a Thielen. I think we're going to get some big games. I think we're going to get some big games from the running back position with you.
We'll know about one of them tonight.
Yep.
In what, 30 minutes? So
Yep.
all right, so now on to a closer game. I wasn't gonna get much closer than that.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Dustin and Jericho. And as we've seen earlier, Dustin kicked my ass. Do you think he can repeat that against Jericho?
No.
Not against
Justin-
New England.
Joe Burrow isn't going to have another game like that unless he's like unless this injury thing is more than what we're being told, and it's just a week one jitters trying to get back into the feeling of being hit with and stuff. I think Joe Burrow is pissed off. He's probably going to throw like 350, 60 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's gonna be pissed off. He's gonna go out there and he's gonna destroy some stuff, I think.
Against Baltimore.
Yeah.
I think
actually
Dustin's going to need another blow up game from Tua.
and
Could definitely happen. I think as long as Jericho's guys at the top of his roster, Burrow, Barkley, Jacobs, McLaurin, can stay upright and finish the game, and it is a bit of an if for that, a bunch of guys, and Tua doesn't have a repeat performance, I think it's going to end up going with Jericho. But we've doubted Dustin's team before, and look what happened last week.
I don't want to play these teams.
I mean, he also has Calvin Ridley. I mean, that's a good. I think he's going to have another good game, and he's got David Montgomery. And I think David Montgomery is going to be probably the X factor on this this game, because last year you look at Seattle's defense for rushing. They're bottom of the league. They're terrible. They can't stop the run. It's like a running nosebleed over there. I think David Montgomery versus Seattle, that's a great potential for a lot of points.
Yeah, I kind of like Cleveland against Pittsburgh's offense, because Pittsburgh did not show up last week, and Cleveland did.
I think they tried to throw it too much. I think they're going to go back to Like we try to throw you in too fast. Let's kind of dial it down. I don't know. We'll see.
So I'm gonna have to go with Dustin in this game, and that's just because I felt the wrath of undervaluing his team last week. So you guys got in this.
You don't want to get any memes back this week, Kyle?
What was that?
You don't want to get any memes back from Dustin this week?
I am not getting any memes back. I've no more.
I'm gonna go with Cloudy Bags here, Jericho. I think Joe Burrow's gonna crush it. I think Saquon Barkley, even though I'm not a huge fan of him overall, I think he's going to have a really good game against this Arizona defense. They're not an impressive defense. I think they're going to be embarrassed by what happened last week, and they know their best player is Barkley, and they got to run the ball. They're going to come out with a basic plan of just, we're going to crush you on the ground. I think that's what's going to happen. That's my thoughts. I know Chris is just disagreeing with everything I say. It's all
He's
good.
flipping the coin. So.
Picking Jericho because I think Joe Burrow's going to do better.
John, you got anything there?
I'm at Big Dustin.
You don't want memes either, right?
No.
All right, so
I
on
like
to the
the
next.
game.
On to the next game, which is supposed to be no blowout. Jordan, you're supposed to annihilate Joe.
Well, we've seen the perils of depending on projections last week.
Where's the fantasy? Sean's comment. I love it.
I think you may have joined the wrong show. But I don't have a ton of viewership yet, so you can stay.
Well,
Sauron, that's like, Tom Brady. He's been defeated. We're at the end where Bilbo's just kind of drifting off into the ocean.
so
Nope.
But looking at this roster, is Rashad Penny supposed to play this week?
I don't think so.
Like, I didn't hear anything about Penny playing against Vikings.
Yeah, he didn't play. I mean, I love Rashad Penny. I mean, he used to be a Seahawks player. He's always injured. Until he starts 2 games in a row, you shouldn't risk trying to put him on your starting lineup until you know that he's going to actually have snaps. And see what his actual production is. You're just holding on to a hand grenade for no reason. That's
maybe in 4 years, if we're still doing this, enough people will care that Paul Charchian can come on and argue with you.
So by the end of the year, we get someone on the show.
Yeah, okay.
There's a lot of good teams in this league, so if
What I'm
I'm
gonna
just getting a
say,
layup win, I'll take it.
Joe has 2 players on his team right now that aren't going to be playing.
Yeah, Joe's got to adjust his lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Until he does that, Jordan.
We don't know. This is a wild card.
Yeah.
And you're not even winning by 20 with that wild card, so it's a toss-up. 2 players, what position?
I mean, there is 8.4 projected for Penny, so I would imagine he'd swap in someone similar, a little bit higher. Let's see what we got here.
Higgins is also a player that's a more of a flex player. I don't know if I'd be having him. He's the 3rd receiver there in Cincinnati. I wouldn't have him starting. I'd have somebody else.
That's not great.
Otherwise, outside of that, especially having Dallas going against the Jets and no Aaron Rodgers, that's a hell of a play there too. So,
yeah, that matchup looks a lot better right now than it did last week. That's why I've got
Zach Wilson.
That's why I've got. I think if you scroll down a little bit, I've got Giants defense on my bench picked up for the purpose of playing this week, but not going to be needed, I don't think.
I'm picking Jordan. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, I'm picking Jordan too.
I mean, Jordan's got sunshine, so I think he's going to have a really good game.
Team is extremely well-rounded too. Like I mean,
I've done this before. What can I say?
I mean, the guy's got more injured players than a hospital. Come on now.
Well, it's a good thing because they're going to switch him out because at some point, I don't know if our medical staff is just dumber than a box of rocks, but ever since Marshawn left Seattle, we haven't had a running back start more than like 8 games in a year. It's starting to really piss me off. And I'm worried about Walker. I know Jordan's got him, and I'm just like, how many games is he going to miss this year? Because he missed like, I think 3 or 4 towards the end or something like that.
Well, such is the life of a running back. What do
Well,
we get going with this matchup?
Yeah, but I mean, not every running back does that. I mean, you got running backs like Henry. He doesn't miss that many games. I mean, Marshawn Lynch until his last few seasons didn't miss any games.
Low
yeah.
Pink Panther.
He was I have no clue who that is.
No one does.
Who's Pink Panther?
But Pink Panther's a cool comic to collect. I'd get down with that. I have a couple.
Trash Pandas.
So we got Trash Panda, Chris Apple against Gotham City Knights and Marines. This is a close game.
Man.
And it'll be the first win.
I usually have a rule, always pick against Maurice. I'm coming around. Maybe you can pick him. It's all right now. But
I'm going to be
my
honest.
fantasy partner.
Lamar Jackson hurt my feelings too much last week, so I know who I'm going to pick.
Trash Pandas?
I'll wait for my turn.
Yeah.
I like Trash Pandas here. I'm not a big fan of the receivers and running backs that Gotham's got here. I mean, other than Jamar Chase, Brandon Cooks, that Dallas offense, I don't know. That's a question mark to me. I like James Conner, but he's got some injury stuff going on apparently now, and yeah, I don't know. It's that those are 2 big things for me.
I'm taking Maurice because I think Joe Burrow is going to do better. And how is he going to do better?
Jamar.
Jamar Chase.
No, that's fair.
Well, Josh Allen, too.
Yeah, Josh Allen, he needs a bounce back game. But so does Lamar.
But I think he's going to bounce back. And I think just the biggest thing, 21 for Chase. Who's to say he doesn't get 36? But then again, who's to say Jamar or Lamar Jackson doesn't get 45?
Does the Tua.
This is a real wild card. Jordan.
I was raising my hand because I would say Lamar Jackson's not going to get 45.
You never know. You may take off running.
Yeah.
I think the X factor with Lamar, though, right now is Baltimore keeps doing him dirty. They don't give him any good receivers. He's got a bunch of nobodies out there throwing the ball. He's catching the ball out there.
Well, they got to draft him because they paid him the rest of the offensive money.
And they don't draft him. Like, that's what's blowing my mind. Yeah, they're doing like a Green Bay situation here. They got one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and they won't draft him any goddamn receivers.
But didn't they just pick up Zay Flowers this year, who actually performed last week? I mean, Zay Flowers had a great game.
It's nobody.
Wow.
They got to get a number 1 pick, get some real receiving talent in there, do something big. I mean, look at what Miami did, right? They went out and they got Hill. Why the heck? How think about it that way. If you're Baltimore and you know Hill's on the market, how do you not have a more convincing argument? Hey, come play with me. I'm Lamar Jackson. You want to go play with Tua? Really? That's where you want to go? How do they not make that sale happen?
Baltimore versus Miami.
Talking about an argument, John, how are you going to beat Jason this week?
How am I going to beat Jason? Well, I'm going to have players on my team that are actually going to complete the entire game. So that's the start. I'm going to have 3 players that didn't do that last week. They're going to do it this week. They're actually going to complete an entire game. And then from there, they're going to play well. And, the key to winning is getting more points than the other person. And that would be my 4th point.
So I think that you got
Well said.
Puka. That's an interesting pick.
I did. I got a lot of. I went hard on this first waiver wire. I took advantage of the fact that I got completely shanked, like a bathroom prison shanking, and and I went out there and I picked up some serious talent. I'm going to wait another week before I make any more serious moves. I like Zay Jones. He had a great game last week. I think he's going to continue to be Mr. Sunshine's, number 2 guy there with Calvin Ridley. I think those two are going to be really lighting it up for him. And then, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I might make some other roster moves if Najee Harris can't get it together. I've got Williams there from the Rams because Cam Akers, that was the other point I was going to make on the last matchup we looked at. Cam Akers, I don't think he's this Williams guy. He's going to take over the number 1 spot for the Rams. I think most teams who have Cam Akers, they're probably going to start to need to get rid of him off their roster. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to be even a flex position moving forward. So if Najee Harris can't keep it, we'll give Najee Harris a couple more weeks to get together, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to give him another week. And then, hopefully Mark Andrews, we'll see if he's moved to a more healthy position. I like
Sam Laporta showed up last.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go with your team here. I think, John, you have a chance of beating Jason.
I mean, I just don't like Dak Prescott. I don't like Tony Pollard. I had a chance. Here's the thing. I'm not just saying this because it's on the other team. I drafted me and Issues Needed. We kept going back and forth because we were 6th and he was 3rd. So a lot of the teams, like I had an opportunity to draft Tony Pollard, and I passed on him a number of times when I was drafting. I drafted one of the quarterbacks. I was one of the first people to draft quarterback. I didn't take Dak. I think I'm not impressed by them. I think there's a chance that Dak is going to be, benched halfway through this season if they keep fucking around.
So, who do you guys got? You guys have who do you guys got? Do you have John or Jason?
Well, I think this is going to be a game of quarterback and defense. I kind of want to use the word duel, but what's the opposite of the word duel?
Cat food.
Yeah, there we go.
Running
Quarterback
away.
and defense, cat food. Whoever comes out of the cat food bowl ahead, I think is going to win this one.
I'm gonna make so many signs.
Every week, new sign.
Many.
Chris, who do you got?
I don't like Dak Prescott either, but I'm wearing his hat, so I'm picking Jason. Johnny, once you get me a hat.
There'll be a Seahawks hat.
I think.
Ooh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
I think the other thing I like is I like my tight end, even though I've got not Mark Andrews, but I got Laporta there. He's a rookie. He looked pretty good week 1. I think they're going to try and get him more snaps here, more attempts. I think that's going to be a big game. And Cole Kmet, again, he's a Chicago player.
I don't trust your quarterback.
He's going to get maybe.
I'm not touching it. I'm not touching the tight end comparison. I'm ready to move on to the next one, really.
Make or break. This is a 3-point game difference projected. The tight ends are going to make a difference in a tight game like that.
Less than 2 points, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
John Palm, who do you got?
I'm going to take Jason.
Jason?
Haters going to hate.
All right.
Yeah, maybe pick you next week.
Game of 2 people that lost last week. Myself, Nora versus Austin.
Even though you're losers,
I'm taking you, Kyle. And the reason why I don't think Tyreek's going to have that kind of game again. He's going to get his points, but I don't think it's going to be 50 points again this week. Not against New England.
Yeah.
And back to Johnny's point too. Justin Fields just flat out sucks.
Yeah.
So,
thank you.
Well, Austin did have Ayuk riding the bench. He dropped, I think, 34 points last week. So, be an interesting one.
Yeah, I didn't realize he had both Tyreek and Ayuk until last week.
I'm picking Noggin. There's a big points difference here. So you would have to screw up.
The Vikings would have to screw up tonight.
And that's probably a 78 to 96% chance.
Which one's the 78?
Everything's leaning towards the 96% chance
that they screw up.
Absolutely. Like, honestly, if it was plausible, the last game of the season, I would love to see Johnny throw like the first drive, just because I think it might be better than Kirk Cousins. Johnny makes the practice squad. Boom. Who knows? Disney makes a movie about him. 13 years. Bam.
Yeah. Okay. I like Kirk Cousins as a quarterback. I think he's at the tier where he's good enough to win a Super Bowl if you can put a team around him. I think the kind of quarterback that I think of as the most stereotypical super average quarterback is an Alex Smith. He's always going to throw 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. Just stereotypical. And I think
but
if you're above that, you've got what it takes to win a Super Bowl.
Dude, we have no offensive line. He gets his ass just kicked every single game.
Look, I don't like hearing that. He throws up 4,000 yards every flipping season. You can't have you have to have an offensive line to be able to throw 4,000 yards. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear about I can't stand it. It's the same thing I hear every year.
So
he can't throw 4,000 yards and not have an O-line. I'm sorry.
Well,
not unless Justin Jefferson's yak yardage is 30.
So if you watched the game last week, in that first half, we were moving that ball like it was nothing. In that second half, JJ got pissed. JJ didn't see that ball.
Mm-hmm.
And if that happens again, I mean, there's no way that we'd be able to hang with Philly tonight.
Well, I mean, Philly's just an out better team in every facet at every stage.
New England almost beat them last week, though.
Almost couldas, wouldas, and shouldas. That's right.
I'm just saying, are the Vikings as bad, or if not good, as New England?
They're not as good.
Oh.
I mean, offensively, I'd say you've got a better receiving core because you have Justin Jefferson. I'm not a fan of your running back. I think they've got a better running system there than you do in Minnesota right now, because I think the gap between that Cook and Madison is a lot larger than I think Vikings fans are willing to admit to themselves.
We got to find something for next week before I forget. We need to find Kirk Cousins' average versus the rest of the league on how fast he gets the ball out.
So you mean we got home?
I've played center before in high school. Okay. So we're going to have to figure out how fast he gets the ball out, because Brady did it in 2.2.
Yeah, on the good years.
And I favor Johnny. We don't have the best offensive line, but they're millionaires, and Kirk Cousins could have restructured for way less to get a guard.
There's a lot of that too.
But this is the last big contract Kirk Cousins, I think, gets, and he doesn't want to.
I think the other factor that we always forget about when we talk about the offensive line for the Vikings is you've spent the last 20 years building an outside zone run team. So that means you've drafted and you've trained your players to be a bit undersized, so that way they can get to those outside zone blocks on the run. You've been doing that for the last 20 years. that means they're not going to. That means they're going to already start with a slight handicap of passing. So to say you have a bad offensive line, they were built to be the way they are, and that's. I mean, it's like saying oh, my hammer doesn't work very good as a screwdriver.
Run block versus pass block. It's
Yeah, but like with Bradbury, he's been injured since they drafted him. And
I'm not saying like the injury stuff. I'm talking strictly what you've done as a strategy for the last 20 years, because it was the same thing you did when you had Adrian Peterson. It was the same thing you've done when you've had Cook. It's been entirely focused. And that's what I said earlier, where you have this matchup issue with your quarterbacks and your running scheme.
Hey,
You've
man.
designed your offensive line about.
We got to wrap it up, though.
Yeah.
But then
we're past production.
You do everything else with your quarterback. It just doesn't make any sense.
So before we head out, because the game starts in less than 10 minutes now, we have something happening next week too, right? So next week we have
I'm excited, man.
The comic show.
That's the excited look.
I keep calling on people raising their hands. I'm sorry.
Get some energy.
So if you haven't been to the comic show, and this is not me speaking as an admin, this is me speaking as a comic collector, this may be the best comic show in the state.
A lot of parity at this show, and how many separate vendors will be here.
I mean, you got 40 tables and it's free admission. I have witnessed people walking out with suitcases, if not dragging cases of books through a car.
No, it's a good time. I mean, it's the best damn show in the state. That's a fact.
We'll have some MCE bucks to give away. Hey, and I didn't tell anybody this except Jordan and Brett. Brett gave me some books today that I think we're going to have the MCE have signed by Chris Claremont.
That'd be cool.
It's a couple books. We'll give one away probably at the show, and we might hang on to some for giveaways throughout, time. That'll be pretty fun.
Yeah, and next week, we should go through what the MCE bucks are, because I know last time it caused some confusion.
We will go through that next week. I don't have the actual ones yet. I got to print them and get them cut. And then, they'll be ready for next week.
Yeah, we for sure need the visual reference for the giveaway at the show.
True.
So, yeah, until then, the 4 of us will be at the Uncanny Experience. I'm going to try to get some footage for Noggin for that. I think
we'll be thinking about you, Johnny.
Johnny,
I'll end it with this. At least we can all hate the Bears, right?
True.
I'm a Seahawks fan. You guys are Vikings fans.
Watch Kelsey on Amazon Prime.
We all hate the Bears.
Famous last words.
Big people make the NFL work.
Hating the Bears is what brings people together. Hating the Bears 2024. Let's make it happen, people.
All right.
From likes the Bears. All right. You all have a great
everyone have a good night.
Football night.
See you guys next week. Have a good one.
Peace.
Go Vikings.
No.